Okay, welcome to the Lovecraft Easing podcast. Rick Lay is here, Bridget Bernmark, Mark Rainey, Michael DeBronzo from the Sunshine Chopper, and our guest, Kristin Dearborn. I'm never going to let go of that joke since you said that a couple weeks ago.
I did my one good thing for the year.
Well, apparently Pete Rollick and Matthew Carpenter have better things to do. I did call Matt, and
What'd you call him?
Well, this is, I try to make this a family show, but I called him on the phone and he was in his car with his wife. And I said, "Are you coming today?" And he's like, "No, we're going to visit our kids at college and then we're going to go see Dune with them." So I was like, "Well, if your wife and kids are more important to you than this, then sure."
Isn't he in his car a lot?
Yeah, but now he's in his car with his wife going to visit his kids. And I think they're arriving right about now. So now he got a new job, so he's traveling a lot.
Considering the reviews for Dune 2, he's going to have a great time.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
They look promising.
Well, I saw something on the internet. Somebody posted, "David Lynch does not give a shit what you think." So there you go.
I'd say that's accurate.
All right. Pete's not here. He must be on Florida time.
He's going to Dune 2 as well, remember?
He is?
Yes.
Yeah, he's taking his kids to see Dune 2.
All the cool kids are going to see Dune 2 today.
He said he might be later.
And you guys are stuck here? Wow. Sorry about that.
Priorities, man.
Well, we talk about things like Dune. We talk about cosmic horror and weird fiction, horror, ghosts, all kinds of things. And today our guest is Kristin Dearborn. How are you?
I am great.
Let's do introductions real quick, and then we'll talk to our guest. Mike Davis, Lovecraft Easing. Rick
Lay, writer and pulp magazine collector.
Bridget
Bernmark, composer, artist, horror fan.
DeBronzo.
Mike DeBronzo, architect, artist, and apparently Mr. Sunshine in the copter.
The Sunshine Chopper. And Mark Rainey.
Mark Rainey, author, editor, and old fart in chief.
Yeah. Today, because Pete's not here.
Well, yeah. I'll take the honorary title.
Well, if you're just joining us, that's good because we just started. Matt has a prize. It's called, let me see if I can find this. I mean, he's dedicated. He's not even here, and he's got a prize. And I can't find it, so it doesn't matter. You guys remember what it was?
In the email.
Oh, here it is. Ichabod Jones, Monster Hunter. Autobiography of a psychopath. Something like that. At first, I thought it was about Carpenter, but it's not. Oh, no, it's called A Psychopath's Work Is Never Done. Ichabod Jones, Monster Hunter. So I don't know. It's a hardcover, he says, the first volume of Ichabod Jones. So there you go. And all right, what else do we got? Yeah, I think what we usually do, Kristin, is we'll talk with the guest for a little while, no set time, and then we talk about just a bunch of other horror happenings, nerd things, all that kind of stuff. So what's that?
Dune 2?
I mean, they could. I don't know anything about it. I've never even seen the first Dune. I know. I'm sorry.
The music is awesome.
Right now, people are unsubscribing en masse. My internet did get fixed, so we're back. So Yeah, so Kristin, you got a new book out. First tell those out there listening who don't know who you are. You're a horror writer, you've been working for quite a while now,
Mhm.
and just a little bit about you and the new book.
Yeah, so I've been publishing for about a decade, maybe a little bit more than that now. My Lovecraft easing relationship goes back quite some time with Whispers. My
Mm-hmm.
take on H.P. Lovecraft's Whisperer in Darkness. That was our little project that we did together here. New book is a Florida book. I am a Vermont, New England author, but every time I go to Florida, it's like my muse is struck by alligator-laden lightning, and I keep writing these Florida books. So this is the story of really damaged protagonist. She's an Afghanistan veteran who's lost a leg. She's in a really toxic relationship. She's the toxic side of the relationship. She's also a private investigator, and she gets it in her head that if she can solve kind of a high-profile missing person case, then she can win back her family. So she goes back to Florida where she grew up. And a bunch of bad stuff happens to her. The kind of tagline for the book has been suicide cults and skunk apes.
Skunk apes or swamp
Skunk,
apes?
skunk apes.
Well, here's what Aaron, your publicist, sent to me. The protagonist is a flawed and disabled war vet woman who is working through a lot of trauma while dealing with cults and a swamp ape. It veers into cosmic horror by the end due to this. And I was like, God damn it, that's exactly the plot I was working on. And
Oh,
now I
yeah.
have to start a new book. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've been working on this one for like a decade, so I gave you time.
You sure did. You write about
Aren't skunk apes folklore?
They're a cryptid. They're the Florida Bigfoot, like the regional variation of Bigfoot who lives in Florida. I guess they're distinguished by their aromatic nature, which I'm going to assume is because of the humidity and that they're kind of damp all the time.
so what is a skunk ape besides the odor?
It's really very similar to Bigfoot. They
Okay.
say they're a little bit smaller than Bigfoot, perhaps, but still it's a cryptid, humanoid, shaggy kind of guy.
It's a swamp version of Bigfoot.
Wow. Of all the episodes for Pete to miss. You know? Pete's from Florida.
Maybe he's seen him.
He's
Yeah,
spent time in the swamp.
he's
part of
been
his
in some
job.
questionable areas.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, can you tell us about the protagonist of the book? She's disabled, with no spoilers if possible, and let's go on from there.
So I think a lot of people are really not she's a very unlikable protagonist, and people either are resonating with her arc or they're very much not. I think most people are. She's pretty unpleasant in the beginning of the book. She's grappling with the loss of her leg, the dissolving of her marriage. As she goes back to Florida where she grew up, we see that she didn't have a happy childhood. She does reconnect with her father. We learn through the course of the book what's happened to her mother. And none of it is good. She is kind of thrust into a little bit of an atypical caretaker role throughout the course of the story, and has a lot of things challenged. A lot of her beliefs are challenged throughout the book, and it's a journey.
Do you find it harder or easier, or does it just depend to write about likable characters versus unlikable characters?
I think that I worry that I think you can get away with so much more with an unlikable character than with a likable character, because I'm thinking back to Whispers, and those were not likable characters at
No.
all. And I'm kind of trying to think back to when I have written about likable characters. I feel like the book I'm working on now is populated with a bunch of people who are pretty likable, and I finished the first draft yesterday, yay, and was kind of looking at it and thinking like, we gotta scuff this up a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not as interesting, and they don't feel as dimensional.
Yeah. You know, I'm thinking right now, maybe this is an easy reach, but of Dean Koontz novels, you know, where it seems like most of the characters are either these perfect people or, you know, very much a villain. There's no gray, there's no in between. And don't get me wrong, if you like Dean Koontz, I do too. I like a lot of his early stuff. I love the 2 Christopher Snow novels and so forth, but it can get a little tedious and boring and unrealistic.
Dean Koontz was my second literary love after Michael Crichton. When I was younger, I devoured everything I could get my hands on by Dean Koontz. And then it started to like click that we've got our slightly but not too flawed protagonist. Usually the flaw is they're out of the military and they just kill so darn well, but they have really good hearts. And then they meet these women who are escaping these abusive situations, but really have all of this capacity for love in their hearts. Probably there's a golden retriever, and
Oh,
they
nuts. There's no probably there.
and I can remember even, I think it was before high school, kind of figuring out the pattern and getting a little bit bored by it. I will say that Watchers is one of the finest novels ever written, and I love Watchers.
Is that your
They
favorite?
know,
Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I was just going to add, I used to read Koontz in the early days. All the protagonists know Taekwondo and own a Mossberg shotgun.
They sure do. Yes, I remember the Mossberg shotguns.
Like, popular gun in this universe.
Yeah. Is Watchers your favorite, you think?
Yeah, of Dean Koontz, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you like have you read the Christopher Snow books?
Mm-mm.
Well, those were written in the late 90s. There's only 2 of them. I always wish there were more. And then it seemed like to me he sort of got even more into the, I don't know what you'd call it, everyone is perfect and territory, and they became almost sort of kind of religious in a way.
Well,
And that's when I
Unbound
stopped.
didn't really keep my attention. Those ones didn't grab me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But
So
like this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Winter Moon. That one, I really like that one.
Yeah.
Some good stuff back there in the early days.
Yeah. Well, nothing against Dean Koontz, as I said. I enjoy a lot of his work, but writing about flawed characters, was that a conscious decision that you made, or just you started writing and this is what happened?
Yeah, it's never been a conscious decision, but maybe my challenge for the book I'm working on now is to try and make more of these people likable and still keep them interesting. See if I can pull that off.
The book just came out, right?
Faith of Dawn just came out, but yesterday I finished a draft of a different book, so I'm kind of riding that high.
Nice. Can you tell us anything about that one before we?
So that one kind of takes the idea of brood parasites like cuckoo birds and sort of the changeling idea of swapping out one thing for another. And there's a lot of violence against little monsters that look like 3-year-olds.
Little monsters that look like 3-year-olds. I'll have to read it. So this book that just came out, what, March 1, something like that?
The 19th of February, it came out
okay.
on stepmother's birthday.
Oh, okay. Faith of Dawn by Kristin Dearborn. what was the genesis of the book, would you say? When did you start getting the, kind of idea in your mind that this is what I want to write about next and who I want to write about next?
Therein lies a tale.
Okay.
My former partner, he and I had traveled to Florida to visit his parents. They live in the Villages. So we were traveling across Florida to get to the Villages, and we were driving through the Ocala National Forest. His mom made a throwaway comment that, oh, the Ocala Forest, not a good place. There's bad people there. People go missing there. And that, like, ding, sparked something in my head. So we got back to his parents' place, and we had had a zillion flight delays and been up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to catch this flight. So he was like, I'm going to take a nap. And I started Googling like Ocala National Forest missing persons, and I didn't find anything. Idea was planted, and I started writing that very afternoon.
Missing 411,
Yes.
411 Florida.
Yes. And missing 411, I spent quite a bit of time with that.
Yeah.
Writing the book.
That is a rabbit hole.
It sure is.
Have
And
you
it,
go ahead, sorry.
oh no.
Have you seen Missing 411, The Hunted? I think there's 2 movies out, and the one that's just Missing 411 is not very good. But if you watch Missing 411, The Hunted, it is pretty creepy.
Okay, because I think I watched Missing 411 and thought this isn't very good, so I kind of stopped there. But it's a cool idea, and my armchair Googling, I have no authority on this topic, but it seems like a lot of sources kind of debunk a lot of what he's saying. But it's so much fun to think about, especially because I love the outdoors. I've spent tons of time in the White Mountains National Forest, in the Green Mountains National Forest. I love hiking, outdoorsy stuff, being out in the woods. So the idea that people are going missing there at a rate that is larger than they statistically should, I think is pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, not if it's, we don't actually want people going missing, but as something to play with as a horror author, super fun.
It depends on the people.
Yeah.
That's where Pete is today. He went missing.
Missing?
He didn't see Dune. No, but you'll have to watch Missing 411, The Hunted.
Yeah.
And it's either free on a streaming network or you can rent it on Amazon Prime.
Cool.
But I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
So I saw in an interview where you wrote, let's see here, toxic relationships can be more horrifying than monsters. Talk about that and your take on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like what I just said 2 seconds ago. Toxic relationships are real. Real stuff is like, skunk apes are fun. The idea of this forest where people are going missing is fun because it's not real. Toxic relationships are real. The statistics that, what is it? 1 out of 3 women has been sexually assaulted. Like that's real. And I think that is something that I keep coming back to because I think it's scarier than the monsters, and I think it provides a really nice balance with something supernatural.
Yeah. What's a kind of a typical day in the life for you? How many books, about how often do you get a book of yours published? And what's your life kind of like? I know you have another job besides writing. I know it's very difficult to have a quote unquote regular job and try to still be creative and hopefully turn that into somewhat of a living too.
So I am a financial planner by day, and that was a complete career change about 6 years ago. And that really tanked my creative output when I went through that career change because I didn't know a whole lot about investing before I went into finance and had to learn everything. And then right when I had kind of gotten myself back into some semblance of a routine, my work suggested that I go for my certified financial planner designation, which is a test with like a 40% pass rate. It's comparable to the bar exam, all of that stuff, 6-hour finance exam. And while I was studying for that last year, I made the rule for myself that I wasn't allowed to write. And it was kind of neat to totally cut that part off, because when I passed the exam, like floodgates opened, and I took the diligent study schedule that I was using, where I was getting up every morning at 6 to study, and really have pretty much been able to carry that through with writing, and can get an hour, 1,000 words, 500 words, a little something most mornings.
That's amazing, because you built up that habit and then you were able to flip it over to the writing.
That was my master plan through the whole thing. I find that in the evenings I'm pretty much useless, and I don't really even try to be productive in the evenings. Gotta do it in the morning if it's gonna happen.
Yeah, of course, and some people they're great in the evenings, and some people they're great in the mornings.
Mhm.
There's something really to be said for not just flipping that discipline over to the creative side when you were done and passed the tests and so forth, but what I call the laser beam power of focus. I think a lot of people think that everything that you want to accomplish, you sort of need to be doing it every day, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you work on one thing so that you can get to another thing. So, and
It was a neat exercise to basically tell myself, nope, I don't care what idea you're having, you're not writing it down.
oh, you didn't even write down any ideas.
Never write
Wow.
down.
Was that hard for you?
Yeah, that I had some ideas that I wanted to explore, and my theory is that if it doesn't just linger in my head, it must not be a good idea. So
What did you do before, as far as
I used to be a grant writer,
okay.
a grant writer, proposal writer. And then
Um,
before that was a lot of customer service.
yeah. So is life easier for you now as it comes to the stress of bills and things like that, now that you're a CPA, and if so, does that make it easier for you to be creative because there's less pressure there?
Yeah, it does. I'm in a place, I feel very fortunate where I can go to StokerCon. I can spend some extra time in San Diego before StokerCon. And I remember when I was first starting out, it was like, how many women can we cram in the hotel room to cut costs as much as we absolutely can? And I would be flying home like the second the conference ended, because I couldn't do another hotel. And I do feel like I have a lot more financial stability and am able to take more time for writing.
Well, I'm asking you these questions about you as a person and your job, as well as writing and the work, because it's all one thing if you think about it. It's just you're not two people. A person isn't two people. And what does it make you feel? Well, let me ask you this. For those who are in a similar position, they're writing, they don't have much money, or maybe they do have a job and they feel like success is, oh, geez, if I could just write for a living, then I'd feel successful. What advice would you give these folks? And I know everyone is different, but
The financial planner side of me, I have talked to an awful lot of people who do and don't have financial security. And there is the whole, what's that saying that money doesn't buy happiness, but it's a whole lot more comfortable to cry in a Mercedes than on a bicycle. And I think I've said several times, man, I wish I'd sold out years ago. This is way better than when I was trying to not. But I think you have to keep a roof over your head, and it is easier to be creative when you're not actively stressing about where your rent money is coming from, where your grocery money is coming from. Before the call started, I mentioned that my dog just had knee surgery, and I can remember 7 or so years ago, my last dog needed dental surgery for a fraction of the price of this, and I had to do a GoFundMe to get her teeth pulled.
Yeah.
And it certainly is nice to be able to take care of those things without it completely throwing everything into disarray, or just not being able to get the surgery for her. So I think there's a compromise. I think that, I mean, I worked retail for many, many years before I came into finance, and I know what customer service is. I know it's not fun. But gosh, you sure meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people and hear a lot of stories. So I think I would encourage people to do the best they can, to think with their heart and with their head, and balance the best they can.
Well,
I'm still a creative person at heart, and I can't say like, no, you should stay at the soul crushing job. But probably in the long run, it's gonna be better if you stay at the soul crushing job just for a little while.
well, I was going to say, I ask other writers and creative people this question, and it seems like of all the people I've asked, you're one of the most qualified because your other job is a CPA and you do help people plan and so forth. I also think it might make a difference on what your other job is and how much you enjoy it.
Yes.
You know, it just because you don't really feel like going into work, you know, that day is a whole different feeling than I hate my life. You know, every minute I'm there, that's a whole different thing. You know.
And I mean, I think I don't want anybody to hear this and think like, oh man, I have to keep going into my crummy job where I get yelled at. No, nobody should be putting up with that, particularly in the market that we have right now. There's a lot of mobility for people to find something that is palatable for them to be doing. Yeah. So
Plus,
we want
plus we're living in the future, and there are more people. There's more of an ability to work from home, even at a quote unquote real job, than there ever has been. You know, so right, Mike? Yep.
Absolutely.
Mike's an architect, so
Yeah, I do most of my work at home unless I got to be at a client's house or something like that. So not
You don't
complaining.
you don't make them come down to the basement with all the comic books.
I could, but I'd have to charge more.
I would super fun. That's where I would want to meet my architect, is in a comic book room.
So I do believe, and I you know, you hear from a lot of creatives over the years, and writers and artists of all stripes, and some of them feel like success is when they can do it for a living and nothing else. And some of them feel like success is, you know, people read my book and they liked it. So there's all these different definitions of success. I think a lot of beginning writers even have this weird idea that success is, I'm going to live in Stephen King's house someday after he sells it to me because I'm going to be that rich. So everyone's definition of success is a different thing, not right or wrong, but what makes you feel fulfilled and successful?
I love I love talking to people who have read my work. I like it when people say, "Oh, I loved your book." Just that one little sentence, or "Man, those skunk apes are super cool." That gives me the warm fuzzies. I kind of look at it as moving through in degrees. One of the things I'd like to do in the next few years is find a literary agent. I would like to publish outside of the small presses who have been so kind to me. But the reach isn't, I want more reach than what the small presses have been able to offer. So I feel like I'm climbing a ladder and I don't know what's at the top of that ladder, but probably always more rungs, but in a fun way.
So is this book available in ebook and print?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll provide the link in the show notes to that.
Excellent. It's Amazon and on Cemetery Dance's website.
Okay. Now, could you tell the listeners about your previous books? I mean, you don't have to list everything, but maybe just give them sort of an idea of the work you've done so that they can delve into this one and then,
Yep.
you know, they like it and they want to read more going from there.
So if readers want to stay in Florida, The Amazing Alligator Girl came out last year, beginning of last year, maybe 2022. And that one is a lot more fun than Faith of Dawn. That has some likable characters. That's basically it's a novella, a skunk, swamp tour gone wrong, alligators rampaging. It's more pulpy and whimsical and fun carnage.
There you go, Rick.
My second novel is a book called Stolen Away, which also has some Florida ties. Keep doing this Florida thing. And that one, a demon steals her baby, and she and her ex-boyfriend decide they're gonna get it back. I have several novellas out. I did one for In the Cold Ground. That was Ed Kurtz edited it. We picked a novella from each of the New England states. And mine is about a haunted hike in Vermont in the Bennington Triangle, which is an area where people go missing and spooky things happen. And the story is my take on that hike gone wrong. That also had me thinking about missing 411 and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So lots of monsters, lots of outdoors, lots of Florida.
Do you live in Florida?
Hmm?
I assume you live in Florida?
No, I live in Vermont.
Okay.
I live in the opposite of Florida.
Well, for some reason I was thinking that I thought I had seen a book or two of yours set in Maine.
Yeah, I grew up in Maine.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm thinking about.
Yep. So I'm New England through and through.
Because in an interview you were talking about, you can state this better than I can, about how huge Maine is and the northern woods.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
My novella, why can I not remember the name of it? Oh my goodness, Woman in White. Woo!
Right.
Sunday morning. So that is a Northern Maine book. I'm a little hesitant to set things in Maine just because I feel like Stephen King kind of has a corner on Maine, and I don't want to get accused of being a Stephen King ripoff, but Woman in White really plays with how remote and isolated Maine is once you get up past Bangor, because there's really nothing up there.
You know, I have to say, I don't think, not to tell you what to do or think, but I don't think you have to worry about that. One of the mystery series that I really love that dips into the supernatural is the Charlie Parker mystery books written by John Connolly. And they're pretty much all set in Maine. He
Oh,
talks
cool.
about how huge the northern woods is, and he really dips into that. So Maine is a setting most of the time in his books. Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my list of things to check out after this conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should read them in order, but I really think he gets going in after like 3 or 4.
Mhm.
I really love that. Just some books, there's more than others, but there's always at least this hint of the supernatural.
Nice.
You know, it's yeah, very haunting, very atmospheric, and definitely main books.
Mhm.
You know, so anyway, yeah, check that out. Um, what's coming for you next? Besides the book you talked about a minute ago?
Yeah, I want to work on some short stories and do some short story work. I've got kind of an idea for a sequel to The Amazing Alligator Girl. Because that was just a fun violent world to be writing in. And you know, there's all those pythons roaming around Florida, and it really would be on brand for my main character to tackle some giant pythons. So, that might be something, that might be a fun little palate cleanser kind of thing. And then we'll see.
What did you grow up reading and watching that influenced you?
Michael Crichton, Dean Koontz, Stephen King. Those were the big things that I was reading. My parents were a little more strict with what I could watch. They gave me an adult library card and said, go do whatever. But I did not watch a lot of horror movies when I was a kid. So I really didn't have that.
I saw you were into the Banicula,
Yes,
the series. Yeah, because if I can jump in real quick, it
Yeah.
was about a year and a half ago. Kristin was kind enough to do an interview with me for my blog. I did a series of blog interviews, and she had mentioned some of her early influences, and I thought, oh, Banicula, that's pretty funny. But you went into how Florida was your muse, and continually returning to Florida. I've spent some time in Florida, not much, but in my current novel that I'm working on, the main character comes from, or one of the main characters comes from Florida, and she really hated it. She's like, everywhere you go in Florida, there's either too many motherfucking people or nothing but alligators and armadillos. And when I was there several years ago, we spent a week out in this ranch in the middle of nowhere, and I really had no idea places in Florida could be that isolated. There was just nothing but orange groves, armadillos, and you couldn't walk too near a stream because an alligator would get you. So I think I sort of understand why that kind of setting would inspire you to do scary things.
Yeah, it's really creepy. I went down when I'd finished a draft of Faith of Dawn. I went down and got an Airbnb out in the middle of nowhere in Florida. And my plan was, I'm going to go to this Airbnb. I'm going to edit the book. I'm going to go wander around by myself in the Ocala National Forest and see if anybody kidnaps me. They didn't. And so it was Airbnb, and I had been corresponding with my hosts. My flight was delayed. I was supposed to get in at 7, wound up getting in at 10. It was another hour drive out to their middle of nowhere house. And she sent me a message being like, oh, we'll just leave the door unlocked. Just come in. So as I'm driving and it's getting more and more remote, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to walk into somebody's house and I'm going to get shot. It all worked out. It was fine. They were lovely. But that was not a side of Florida that I had seen before. And it was kind of sobering how remote it was.
You said you had been to the Philippines. Was that correct? I don't recall much elaboration there, but were there experiences in the Philippines out maybe in remote places, anything that would have influenced your writing?
Yes. So my novella Sacrifice Island is set in the Philippines. We went so I was teaching English for a year in South Korea, and some friends and I took 2 weeks in the Philippines. We were in the island of Palawan up in the El Nido area, which is basically an unspoiled paradise with very few tourists. It was really cool. The movie, the movie, The Beach by Alex Garland is set in Thailand, but the beach that he based it on is actually in this part of the Philippines, and we get to go there and like swim through the thing to get to the beach. Very cool. But we went to this one island, and it was some kind of a church or sanctuary or something that had been abandoned relatively recently, 10-15 years. So there was a lot of Catholic statuary and these empty buildings. Some rooms would be empty, some would just have piles of bed frames, there would be rotting furniture. It was really creepy. And because there were not many people out and about, it was like my 4 friends and our guide were the only people on this island. I think some other folks showed up eventually.
I've seen
But-
that TV series. Everybody dies.
Yeah, yes. Mhm.
Sorry, go on.
No, that was about it. It was just so atmospheric. That was another one where as we were taking the boat back to the hotel, I was like, ooh. And I started writing in a hammock that night.
It is, and perhaps this is just self-evident, but it is so amazing how travel can spark the creative juices and can be so inspiring. You know, I find even on a boring long range car ride, you know, just hours in the car, my mind gets to think, and I have some of my best ideas, you know. So I'm picking up my phone, hitting the voice recorder, going, you know, because I don't want to remember it, and I don't want to write it down, of course, when I'm driving. But yeah, so what was I going to ask you next? Any of the rest of you have something before I? Okay, I'm going to call it a no. Okay, Bridget.
I just unmuted. No, I was gonna ask you, Kristin, if you had a favorite subgenre, not necessarily that you like to write in, but that you like to read and watch.
Monsters, creature features, marauding things.
That tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Who are some, now this is a dangerous question, but who are some writers working today that you really enjoy reading, or what books have you read in the last, say, 5-6 months, whatever, that you really enjoyed by writers working today? And I know the danger is, you mentioned people, but there's so many that are great that's easy to not to forget because you can't, you know.
Yes, so I'm sure I'm going to leave some people out. Chris Golden's House of Last Resort was pretty awesome. That if that was not inspired by travel, then he is more magical than I ever realized, because it feels like you're in Italy when you're reading that. What else have I've read a ton of things lately.
I think you said in one interview that Snowblind gave you by
Yes.
Chris gave you
Yeah,
the inspiration for a book.
That Woman in White.
Right.
I finished reading Snowblind, and then my best friend's little sister, who works at the Maine State Crime Lab, took me on a behind the scenes tour of the crime lab, and somehow those two things. And then Woman in White happened. I feel like I've read a bunch of good stuff lately, and I'm drawing a blank on all of it.
That's okay. Actually, that's my fault. That's one of those questions that I try to remember to tell the person I'm interviewing that I might get to this question. So, you know, if I ask you, I'll put you on the spot. If I haven't told you, I'm going to ask you. And that's exactly what I did. So I apologize.
To Chuck Wendig's Wanderers. I don't remember what it's called. I'm not quite done with it, so no spoilers, but I'm really enjoying that. I didn't feel ready to read it because it was so pandemic-y, so I kind of had to leave some space there, but I think I like it better than the first one, and It's a big meaty book, but also his Evil Apple book, Black Orchard something. That was really, really good. Didn't realize apples could be scary, but they are.
Yeah. Just ask Snow White.
Mm-mm.
What caused you, and how long ago was it? Was it in your youth, or, you know, was it more of as a young adult or older that you thought, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to be a writer. When and where did that come from?
I've always written, but in college I had this moment of like, people get paid money for this. This is a job. I have an English degree. I have a master's degree in writing popular fiction from Seton Hill University, where Tim Wagner teaches. Gary Braunbeck taught there. Lucy Snyder taught there when I was there. So that was a really cool program. But it was college when I was like, wait a minute. It's not the people who write these books. It's not the same as like movie stars in Hollywood who Kristin Dearborn, will probably never meet or interact with. Writers are people, and I can be one of them.
Right. You
Writing
put,
does tend to be better than being slapped in the belly with a wet trout.
Yeah, totally.
that is, you know, that's weird because it's exactly the analogy I was about to use
I
myself.
thought so. I had to get there first.
Yeah. You go to a lot of writers conventions and horror conventions.
I do.
How many, which ones do you go to? About how often a year?
So Nikon is my favorite. So starting out at Seton Hill, I feel like that really escalated my career because it exposed me to more writers. We had a lot of people in the Pittsburgh area who would come and do guest talks and be at the book signings with us. So I met a lot more writers there, and they all said, oh, you should go to this conference. You should go to this conference. And Nikon is drivable for me. And after a couple of years of being peer pressured to go to that one, I got sucked in, and now I can never not go because it's my favorite. It's like going to summer camp. But World Horror I used to go to, now StokerCon. That one I kind of like going to all of the different cities and seeing the different places. So I usually can stack a fun trip on top of the writers conference.
Are you going to AuthorCon 3 by any chance next month in Williamsburg?
I signed up to go as a guest, but this dog knee situation, I'm not going to be able to go.
Oh, that's a shame.
Because all I hear is good stuff about
It's fantastic. It's about my favorite.
I don't think I can swing it given the dog knee situation.
Yeah.
How is your little guy doing?
She's doing great. This is doggy ACL surgery. This is her second. She's only 3.5. But
Oh man.
basically they break their bone and refuse the bone when they do this surgery, but it doesn't, generally it's one and done. So you do it once and you never have to worry about it again. It's got a very high success rate, but the recovery is a lot of keeping your dog quiet. And she's a 3-year-old black lab. Keeping her quiet means that she is drugged as much as the vets will enthusiastically let me.
Labs are great. I've had two black labs in my life and I loved them.
She's way more fun when she can zoom and run and play and isn't just like bored and why aren't we doing anything? Play with me.
Well, we could have had her on Zoom.
Yeah. The healing is going very well. So
That's good. I'm glad. They're just good dogs, 99% of the time. I remember in Iowa, I went to surprise my son with a dog. He was like 3 or 4 at the time. I picked him up from daycare and I said, we're gonna go get you a puppy. So he was really excited. We went out and we went out to this farm out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, and this farmer was selling dogs from a recent litter of black labs. And he goes, well, which one would you like? He's a really nice guy. And my little boy, he's 21 now, but he was hiding behind my pants, and I said, well, I know they can be really energetic, especially when they're little, but I just need a kind of the calmest one that you have. So he goes over and he picks up one of them, and he picks her up and he turns her on her back in his palm with her legs in the air. And he says, they hate this. They do not like this at all. And look, she's not getting mad or anything. So this is the one you want, so I'll never forget that. It's a really good memory. So
the other hat that I wear, and I'm wearing the sweatshirt here, I'm on the board for our local humane society. So
oh, nice.
do a lot with rescue critters, and Ember is kind of the opposite of that puppy that you described. I adopted her when she was 7 months old because someone else had adopted her during the pandemic and realized they were way in over her head. She got much larger than I think they were expecting her to. She's about 85 pounds, and she is a spunky lady with lots of energy.
Yeah.
Which is awesome when we're climbing mountains. Less awesome when we're recovering from knee surgery.
Well, and I'm sure she loves doing that with you.
She does.
When she's feeling well enough. And it's really great that you do that. I love that you do that. It needs to be done. There's not enough people doing it.
I love our little 4-legged friends.
Yeah. All right. So, name of the book again, Faith of Dawn.
Faith of Dawn.
By Kristin Dearborn. That's Dearborn with no E at the end.
It's like the city in Michigan.
Sorry?
Like the city in Michigan.
Right. And you can pick it up at Amazon or at Cemetery Dance. And if you're watching this on YouTube later or listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever later, I will have as usual, I'll have a link to the book. So yeah, anything else that maybe you wanted to talk about that maybe I didn't think to ask or forgot about?
I think we covered a lot of ground.
Okay, well, good. So when I asked you if you ever seen one of these before, the other thing is I forgot to mention to you is that in the second hour, we talk about all this nerd stuff, and that I said that, but what I didn't say is you're perfectly welcome to stick around the whole time, and you're perfectly welcome to take off and take care of your dog, whatever you want to do.
I am happy. She is fast asleep. I am happy to share my nerd thoughts with all
awesome
nerd thoughts. So I'm happy to hang out.
That's good. I'm glad we have an expert here, because I thought I was going to have to rely on Kelly Young's expertise.
Never a good option.
Yeah.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Hey,
You guys
Kelly.
know each other?
Kelly.
No.
No. All right. Well, okay. Yeah, Kelly Young has just joined us. We just finished interviewing Kristin Dearborn, and this is the part of the show where we harass Kelly Young, and that's why he rarely shows up anymore. But hey, so you guys got anything to talk about before I delve into my stuff? Yeah, I got something to talk about. God damn it! Check this shit out. Yeah.
Ooh.
I've got mine too.
Yeah.
I haven't started to read it yet.
The Secret Language of Spiders by K.L. Young. Are you
Oh,
related to
boy.
this person, Kelly?
I wish. I could only hope to be as cool as that guy is.
That's what we all say, yes. Now, I had texted Kelly yesterday, and I was in a good mood, and I was like, this movie I'm watching is so fun. It's making me feel so great and everything. And so I texted Kelly and I said, you've probably seen this, but I'm watching Totally Killer right now, which I usually don't enjoy killer comedy horror. And let's see here. What did I say? I said, you've probably seen it, but I'm watching Totally Killer right now, and it's hilarious. And being the supportive friend that he is, he replied with, yeah, I didn't love it.
You know what? I didn't
Why are you
realize
the
this
way
is
you
what I
are?
was being invited on for.
Huh? You didn't know? Or
I, I didn't realize I was going to be put right on the hot seat. I didn't love the
have
movie.
you been on this show before? Well, I mean, what show have you been watching?
Yeah, I didn't love the movie. Boy,
Wow.
is that okay?
I guess it is. If you want to be wrong, you probably don't like the 1980 movie The Fog either.
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it? Okay. I don't know, but it just made me think of what do you guys think are some of the best 80s movies? Or should I say, I don't like the word best, your favorites?
I have a long list.
You have a long
Carpenter's
list?
Thing, hands
Yes.
down, is my number one.
What is?
Carpenter's The Thing. In fact, it's
Oh, yeah,
it ties with Night of the Demon, as my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Also,
Nice.
huge thing fan here.
Yeah.
It's my number 2.
What's
Number
your
one?
number one, Mike?
An American Werewolf in London.
Oh, that's a good
Oh,
That's up there too.
Oh, yeah.
But
And the
yeah,
fly,
it's
What's that?
the fly.
yeah,
Mm.
that's
Birds.
great.
That is good too.
It is
It's
great.
a great. It was
What-
just such a productive decade. I mean,
Yeah.
from the beginning to the closing, and unfortunately, we hit the 90s.
And the
No
sci-fi,
pun intended.
the sci-fi movies too. I mean, just what was that one movie about the kid who gets a computer disk and it's got government material on it?
War
remember
Games,
War Games?
Not War Games.
No.
He's a
Cloak
little
and
kid.
Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger.
All
Yeah.
right.
Cloak and
Dabney
Dagger
Coleman.
and The Last Starfighter basically came out on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same weekend. Now, don't tell me the 80s weren't great, right?
The Thing came out the same time as E.T. That worked great for it.
Was Monster Squad in the 80s?
Yeah,
Mm.
Late 80s, yeah.
I
yeah,
so.
Fred Decker.
I was fond of the remake of The Blob with was it Kellen Dillon? I really liked that.
The
That is
remake is so much scarier than the first one to me
Mm.
too.
Yeah, it's except for like Kevin Dillon's probably the weakest part of the movie, but it's a great. It's like The Thing. The Thing isn't necessarily a remake; it's an adaptation of
Yeah.
the story.
Who goes
But
there?
it's like the best version of a Shoggoth in
Yeah.
practical effects you could get.
Mhm.
So
Well,
and they're
nobody's
supposed to.
mentioned aliens, so that's
Mhm.
my aliens my favorite.
Alien or aliens?
Aliens.
Aliens.
Aliens, yeah. Alien was 79, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kelly told me
what do you
once
call
that
it?
the 70s actually lasted till about 1982.
That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think, Mr. Young? Can I call you Mr. Young?
Sure, all my friends do. I discovered a movie this last year that from '83 called The Sender that I thought was
Oh,
just
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
About a guy who's lost his memory and he gets brought into a hospital, and this his psychiatrist is trying to kind of help him regain his memories, but what she doesn't realize is that he's everything he dreams starts coming true, and so he's trying to forget that he can do this. And
Yeah.
it was just a really, really cool movie.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
I got one for
I
you.
haven't seen it.
It doesn't get as much respect as I think it should. Chud. I actually think
Chud's
Chud
pretty
is a really
great.
good movie.
I think
Sure.
it gets more
Okay.
than respect than it deserves, Mike.
Oh,
one
no,
just
no,
one
no,
just
no.
came to me. I'm pretty sure it was '80s. It was The Hidden with
Oh,
Kyle
yeah.
MacLachlan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
it's got a great opening with
Yeah.
the metal pumping and the car chase, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness, Near
Yeah,
Dark.
Kim and I,
Oh.
Near Dark, hell yeah. Kim and I just watched Prince of Darkness a while back. It had been years and years and years since I've seen it, and I do enjoy it, but we had just watched The Thing not too long before that, and it just seems like it's kind of a clumsy movie in comparison. It's like he's trying to find its rhythm, never quite get there, but it does have a lot of great stuff in it, make no mistake.
Yeah. There's a Reanimator.
Mhm.
The Stuart Gordon From Beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a list because I saw the email late, and I just started writing
Wow.
shit down.
All right. Go on.
But it's also in this nice Strange Eons notebook
Oh,
that I
alright.
got.
You
Look
got
at that.
You got a Strange Eons notebook, or
No.
Yes, I have 3. They're great.
did you buy them, or were they?
Oh, I bought them.
Oh, okay. I don't believe
We
you.
have. Do you want me can I just like rip through this list, or are we just
Sure.
doing them one at a time?
Sure, whatever. Traitor.
This is. Okay, some of this is like, we should probably read Emma's list too, because she sent one, but she can't be here today. Creep Show. The Changeling. That was
Wait a
the
minute.
80s,
Is this
right? Not
Emma's
the-
list?
No. Well,
Oh,
you know
okay.
what? Let me read hers. I think
Yeah.
I have it up.
Yeah, I'd like to get
da- da-
I'd
da-
like
da-
to get to the important person first, and then you can.
Yeah, no, I know how it is. Yeah. Motherfucker. If I
Totally killer. And it
keep-
was a
keep
time
talking,
travel
it'll be fun.
movie, you son of a bitch.
Oh, here we go.
I love the two guys who are
Uh,
like, yeah, I don't like time travel movies. They never make any sense. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Okay. No, that's okay. She's got The Lost Boys,
Oh, of
Nightbreed,
course.
Near
course.
Dark, Nightmare on Elm Street
Double,
3,
of
Dream
course,
Warriors,
on Near Dark.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Silver Bullet, The Howling. That's a good
Yeah.
one. Gremlins and Critters.
That's
Man, I agree with almost every movie on that list.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emma J. Gibbon, he's talking about. Couldn't make it today.
Oh shit. What's the one with Tom Atkins and the zombies and the aliens?
Night of the
Oh yeah,
Creeps.
Night of the Creeps.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a
he was
great one.
also in The Fog, but they had a limited budget. They couldn't afford his mustache, so he does not have a mustache in that movie.
And you got him in Creep Show too.
Yeah,
Right.
and Halloween 3. Yeah,
That's he's great. Halloween 3.
was that
He's
80s?
karate-
That was 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah. He's karate chopping robots, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you got? Evil Dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
and Evil
80s.
Dead 2 too.
Hey, I was saying before that my cat's name is Ash.
There you go.
Did you like that? Did you like the show?
Couldn't get into
Yeah.
it.
You couldn't? Oh, that's too
Really?
bad. Thought it was
I-
funny.
It didn't grab me. And people have told me to try it again, but it didn't grab me.
Ash versus the Evil Dead is what we're. Yeah, okay. DeBronzo.
Day of the Dead, which is Day of the Dead. We're talking Romero. First two
Okay.
Hellraiser movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. A lot of this is crossover with you guys. The Shining, actually. That's the
Yeah.
80s.
The Shining.
And Mark, you had this down, Angel Heart.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good
That's a
one.
good one. I think you could kind of I could probably, if I really thought about it, suck up a lot of air and just keep going. But I mean,
Easy to do.
that's
Yeah.
No one's
Yeah,
made
it's
just-
the stuff.
So I pulled up
Yeah.
this Rotten Tomatoes
stuff, yeah.
top 97 horror movies of 1980, and it's like straight up to 97. It's solid. They're all solid movies.
Oh.
Pretty much agree with everything. So I mean that's just a testament to the decade, I think.
it was great too for practical effects. That was like
Mhm.
the height. And then, once you, like I said, once you get to the 90s, horror kind of just still there, but it died out. And then when when it comes back, it's more like CGI starts to kind of get in the mix.
Well, and I think when it came back in the 90s, it was so steeped in this meta thing and wanting to be self-referential. And I like that, but there's just an awful lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired of it.
Too
But
much
when
of a
it's
good
done
thing.
well, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Scream really changed things, but there's only so many
Mhm.
times you can do that and it works. The Changeling, or
Yeah.
did someone mention that?
I mentioned it. Great
Okay.
flick.
Mhm.
Did I mention The Fog, Kelly?
You mentioned the fog.
Okay, all right. I thought Dead and Buried, I've always thought it has one of the coolest covers
Yeah, it was
of
pretty
any
cool.
movie ever. That's such
Yeah.
a cool VHS cover, you know. All right, what else? Kelly, did you give us anything?
I've been agreeing with everything you said.
As usual, but I mean, if you have any opinions, you can certainly.
I got the text, whatever, 15 minutes ago, so I
I
didn't have
knew that
time to
would
put
be your
a
excuse.
list.
I thought you were an expert. You know, there are new 80s movies that are set in the 80s too. Summer of 84. Did you like that one?
Yeah, I did like that one.
Okay. House of the Devil. I think that's set in 83. House of
I
the Devil.
love House of the Devil. I thought that was
What else do we have here? Well, I see a list, but I don't recognize any of these. The Babysitter.
Oh yeah.
That movie's
With-
hilarious.
That was funny.
The second one's good too.
I was about
Mhm.
to ask. I was afraid to see the second one because I liked the first one so much.
No, it's good. I think they're actually trying to make a third one.
It's
I
like
could be wrong.
the second one is like, oh, okay, we realized that the comedy works, so we're just gonna lean into it even more.
Why is your shirt off? That always cracks me up.
That's in the second one.
No, it's the dude in the first one, the real buff dude.
Oh,
He's chasing the
right.
kid. He's like, "Why's your shirt off?"
all right. Nothing off the top of your head, Kelly.
I'm looking around to see if something
I just
something to
figured your
remind me.
bedroom was like an homage to 80s movies or something.
This is The Office, and unfortunately, because of all of the monthly subscription stuff I've been doing, it looks more like an Office than it usually does. So I don't know. We've got, Stephen King's had a run of fairly decent 80s movies. Christine, Cujo.
And a fairly decent run of bad 80s
Oh,
movies.
very, very
Maximum
bad.
There's a lot of bad.
Maximum Overdrive, sure. I actually love Maximum Overdrive.
And Maximum
liked
Overdrive loves the cocaine.
You liked Maximum Overdrive?
it's
I
so
love
goofy.
it.
You know, you need to stop being so edgy. You're scaring the children. All right, what else? Should we name any other 80s movies before we move on? I feel like
think
I'm
anything
missing
off the top-
something important.
I mean, not my favorite, but a good one is Wolfen.
Hmm.
Actually,
Yeah, like-
Oh
Predator.
yeah.
I like the books way better than the movie, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it
Yeah,
was so
yeah, definitely.
different. They not even
Mhm.
similar.
Predator's
that's still a
80s
decent
too.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has an audiobook too, Wolfen does.
Mhm. I was thinking that probably the first horror movie I saw was in the 80s because I was old enough to watch horror movies. Was in class. They showed Something Wicked with This Way Comes,
Oh, yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
wow.
Yeah, that was
and
good.
so that should explain some things right there. I think it was
Jonathan
like
Price.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bridget, I didn't mean to cut you off.
it's okay. I was just, I can't remember what grade it was, but what a cool teacher to be like wheeling the VHS cart into the room and just slapping in, a horror movie. So
Yeah. And you're right about Jonathan Pryor. Is that his name?
I
Jonathan
think
Price.
Jonathan
Price,
Price,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Pryce.
That
Yeah,
Yeah, he's great.
conference between him and the dad,
Jason Robart.
Jason Robart, in the library, where he says, "I know who you are," and that conversation that they have is just amazing. He keeps ripping off pages for each decade and everything.
Yeah.
I tried to find it not too long. I'm going to say within the last couple of years, we were trying to find it if it was available for streaming, and I seemed like I
is
couldn't
not.
find it anywhere.
It is not available for streaming. You have to have the DVD, or
Yeah.
one assumes the VHS.
So not on Disney Plus even?
No, I
Good
don't. It
question.
wasn't at
Not
that time.
anywhere.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's back
Maybe
in the
something with the
vault.
rights.
But you
They'll,
know,
they'll pull it out in a couple years to get more money.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
but you know, a mere 10 years ago, you could not stream Boston Legal, and now you can. So there is hope.
That's
Oh,
your
no.
measurement.
I'm
Really
just
hard
trying
to
to give
argue
people.
with
I'm
that
trying to
kind of
give the
logic.
people hope, Bridget.
Northern Exposure's on Prime now. That was, you couldn't get that for ages.
I had never
Okay,
seen
just-
that, and I watched the first couple episodes last week, and I wasn't very taken with it, so I haven't.
Nah.
I hadn't really, hadn't gone any farther with it.
I've
Bridget,
never
what,
It's
seen
an-
that kind of humor. Like Mike and I were watching Resident Alien the other night, and we were just discussing how much it is like Northern Exposure, but with aliens.
I was talking to Rick a while back and via email, and I asked him if he'd seen Resident Alien and did he like it. And not to speak for you, Rick, but I believe you said you did, but then it gets repetitive after a while.
It's repetitive and drawn out.
Yeah. What about The Gate? Do you guys like The Gate?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's a
pretty
great
good.
flick.
I'd throw out the original Fright Night as a movie I
Mm.
love. from
Yeah, I
the-
had. I think
Yeah.
I put that on my list. I love Fright Night.
Now I know here the whole remake question and ruining people's childhoods and all that sort of BS. But did you guys see the sequel? I mean, to the remake to Fright Night?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remake? Yeah.
I didn't think it
Yeah.
was bad.
I
Eh.
liked it. I thought they did some really neat choices with that. I mean, it made sense that a vampire would hang out in Vegas. And I love the idea of the magician who he has to, pull in to try and fight the
Right.
vampires. I thought it was a really fun remake.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
And some great actors.
Yeah, my wife and I saw that at the drive-in theater when it came out, and by the time that was over, we'd had so much bourbon, I don't hardly remember it.
Oh,
In
Wait a
Vegas
second. Did you
locale
drive
is
home then?
No, we had a whole nother feature to sit through to sober up. So
What
The
Rick?
Vegas locale is a influence of Night Stalker.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it struck me how misogynistic what's that actor's name that plays the vampire in the remake? The
Colin
Colin
Penguin.
Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Man, he dialed the misogynistic shit up to 11, didn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. You just really hate the guy.
Yeah. He was pretty great.
I got
That's not what I was going for, but okay.
Well,
I
he was
got
pretty
two
great
more,
as a
I
bad
just-
guy, right?
From
Yeah.
the whole evil perspective, yes, I see what you mean.
Here's this is the transitive property of irrelevance here, because I was thinking of Chris Sarandon. Was The Resurrected?
Yes.
Was that
Yeah.
80s? That
Yes,
was
it
a
was.
fairly
I-
good
well,
adaptation of Charles Dexter Ward, or was that 90s?
Might have been
think that
early
was early
90s, but
90s.
that is a good adaptation.
just got released on Blu-ray too.
Hmm.
It was out of print for the longest time.
Unless you went to YouTube.
I actually have that on Blu-ray, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to check.
There's
Okay.
two.
Is the Blu-ray the director's cut?
I don't know, to be honest with you, Rick. It's a good question.
Speaking of movies, I saw at the HP Lovecraft Historical Societies in the Facebook group, someone wrote, quote, "Am I a bad HPL fan when I say that I don't really enjoy Lovecraftian movies? I just find the vast majority of them to be dull or too abstract to say anything. P.S. I'll turn in my HPLHS membership card if I must." No, you are not a bad HP Lovecraft fan because he doesn't care.
true.
I think there's very few of them that are good.
Right.
The ones that are best are more cosmic horror, not based on a Lovecraft story.
I dare say that Lovecraft had awesome ideas, and lots of other people have gone on to do cooler stuff with those ideas.
Yeah, it's very true. Now, as usual, we'll move on to DC Comics.
As usual.
I hear this is really huge news. Okay, you ready for it? The movie Superman Legacy has now been renamed to Superman.
Brilliant movie.
James
How
Gunn,
original.
James Gunn and his genius knows no bounds. I gotta tell you. And for all of you out there who enjoyed the TV series Superman and Lois, which I was very surprised by. I thought I was going to hate it, and it was really, really good. Season 3 ends on a nice cliffhanger where you don't know what's going to happen next. And Warner Brothers has decided that since we've got a Superman movie coming up, and they came right out and said this, that's why we're terminating Superman and Lois. This is the way
Wait.
to win the fans over. Yeah.
I'm not going to give it away, but the moon, that cliffhanger,
The moon?
it's the end of literally it stops on the moon.
Oh, when they're fighting on the moon. Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks.
Then, yeah, you'll never know who wins.
At least do like a 90-minute movie or something just to wrap
Right?
it up. Like, what the
I
fuck?
don't understand why you can't. They're all about this multiverse crap, but they can't have a Superman and Lois show and a Superman movie that lasts for an hour and a half, and that's it.
I can't wait for the multiverse to go away.
Yeah.
It was a great idea in the beginning. Now it's fucking lazy.
This is how sick I am of Warner Brothers comic book movies, and you guys know I'm a massive DC Comics fan. I don't even give two shits anymore about this new Superman movie. I don't care.
I mean,
just don't
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a fine, successful show, and it was almost better for having sort of been separated by the end of it from the Marvel multiverse. So, yeah, why can't you just have a good show at the same time?
Yeah. Maybe they think the fans are too dumb to differentiate between. So I'm going to go on record and say they're not too dumb. They can figure it out. So I have a note in here for the show today so that I remember to talk about everything. And the note says ducks. I have no idea what that means. If anybody knows what that means, let me know. But I don't know what that is.
Beavers and ducks.
Yeah.
We all have our kinks. So
Hey, don't kink shame me, man.
Just remember you're recording this and putting it out in the world.
I am? Shit. Shogun. Rick, you like Shogun? The new Shogun?
Yeah. The original, it's superior to the original in this sense. When they did the original, they gave you little summaries of what the Japanese actors were saying. And you saw the whole movie from the perspective of Richard Chamberlain as this English pilot in the ship sense.
Right.
And he just knew what he knew. There was so much in the book with Japanese intrigue that's in this miniseries.
Cool.
Done superbly.
Is that coming out one episode a week now?
Yeah, I think they just did the first two together, and it's at least one episode a week.
I forget which streaming network it's on.
Like it was Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. Okay.
It's shown on regular television on FX, but it's streamed on Hulu.
So Kelly and I are gonna watch a movie called Lovely, Dark, and Deep next week, and DeBronzo is giving it at least one thumb down, right?
I'm not going to give anything away because you guys are going to watch it.
Right.
And I think
Lovely,
Matt,
Dark, and Deep, striking cosmic horror in the wilderness. Oh, yeah.
I like the principle. I like how it gets set up. And there's a certain part of the movie where I kind of like, it doesn't lose me, but in my opinion, it kind of gets fumbled. It goes from being mysterious to shit. I don't know how to put this without spoiling for you.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, great concept. I just didn't quite like the execution so much. I mean, the ending is good, but there's this portion in like the third act where it just doesn't work for me. So
Is it,
once
I mean, is it worth watching?
I would, I'm just one opinion. So I would say watch it and be your own judge.
Okay.
I hadn't heard about it, but I'm looking at the summary now and it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
It didn't, like I said, it like when it starts, I really liked where it was going. And then it didn't stick with what I thought it was going to do. It's ambiguous, but that's the best thing I can say without giving spoilers. So watch it, be your own judge.
I'm gonna watch it too.
Okay. Other new movies, Out of Darkness. You guys heard of this one?
Yeah.
I really want to see that. Apparently you can get it on Apple Plus
Yeah.
on
And-
demand or something.
And Amazon. Now, you guys have seen Prey. So this is like the fourth installment of the Prey series, right?
No.
It's not.
I saw it and I was not as impressed as I had hoped I would be.
Oh no,
I saw it
really?
last night. You're talking about Out of Darkness, right? Not
Yeah.
Prey.
Yeah.
Is it in that same universe though?
No.
It's not. For some reason, I thought it was. I watched it last night, and my opinion of it is as follows. I fell asleep in the second half of the movie and woke up in the credits. So
You're talking about Out of Darkness,
Out of
right?
Darkness, yeah. I loved
It's-
Prey.
It's slow. It is very slow.
Is it a soft recommend or just a
No, it's a no for me.
I was really surprised to see the 81% on Rotten Tomatoes for it. I thought, wow, a lot of people really like this movie. And I think I was disappointed, but I was also expecting something very different. So I was disappointed that I
Wow.
didn't get what I wanted.
Rotten Tomatoes loses again. It
That's a
all went
bummer.
downhill after Batman v Superman, didn't it, Kelly? No one will ever take them seriously again.
But Out of Darkness, it's got the 85% tomato meter, but the audience score is 54%.
That feels a little closer to how I felt about it too.
Oh, look.
I can't remember the last time I fell asleep during a movie.
The-
Well.
Well.
Oh,
Glad you could
Pete?
make it. How was
Yeah.
Dune 2?
Dune 2 was incredible.
Sweet.
Incredible. It helps if you watch Dune 1, like right
I'll bet.
before.
Is it better than Chud?
fair question.
I think that Aquaman, the treasure, Search for the Lost Kingdom or whatever, was better than Chud. But
Oh,
Yeah, that's
how
Oh,
dare
you-
you?
you are wrong.
Get out.
Oh, look at
I'm
who's
deeply hurt
here.
by that statement.
We
No,
were just
actually,
talking about Out of Darkness right before you popped in, and
Oh, okay. I
As
haven't
this-
seen that one yet.
don't do it.
Pete, I just have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that could win Best Picture? Dune 2. Next year's Oscars.
I think there's a real opportunity for Zendaya to be awarded several awards for that film.
Wow.
I don't think I think Timothy Chalamet did a great job. And yes, he is a stirring vocalist. But I think Zendaya did a magnificent job acting opposite him. And if I was going to give it an Academy Award, I would give it for sound. And I highly recommend you go see it in RPX or whatever that is. Holy shit, is the sound incredible.
You know, I was thinking she should probably get a last name, because what if they call her name and some other Zendaya walks up? I mean, that could be awkward.
If I had a nickel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a movie I really want to see, and I can't find it anywhere on streaming yet. It's called You'll Never Find Me. Has anyone heard of this?
No.
This is
I
not going to
couldn't-
do it justice, because I don't know what I read that made me just fall in love with the possibility of this. But on a stormy night, Patrick, a seemingly troubled man, is visited by a mysterious woman asking for shelter at his mobile home. As the night unfolds, their anxiety and mutual mistrust grow, causing fear and paranoia to engulf the small RV. That's recreational vehicle for you uncool types. I don't know. It just looks really, really good. I wish it would come out streaming. I don't see it in theaters either.
Hmm.
It's a 2023 movie.
Well,
That's
So-
the first I've heard of it.
Well, that's why people watch the show, Kelly.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so lovely, dark and deep. Yeah, okay, so we can talk about that one later, Kelly. Talked about Shogun. Let's talk about, I really wanted you here to put you on the spot, Kelly.
Okay.
Yep, let's do it that way. No, let's do it that way. Hang on a second. Let me put me on the main screen. Okay, so The Secret Language of Spiders by K.L. Young, serial horror in 5 parts. And if you would like to get your own copy, I have bad news for you. You can't.
Yeah. They're very limited and sold out.
Yeah, and sold out. And the covers on this is one of my favorites on number 5.
Yeah. Wade Chitwood did all the art and he really knocked it out of the park on that one.
Yeah. And this is another one I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them all. But then and this is another one of my favorites here, number 1.
Yeah.
And then if you receive these, you know this already, but you got all this nice artwork and postcards.
Postcards from the town. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a postcard. So, and there's
Cabinet
something
cards.
else. I don't know if that came with it or not, but I have it sitting here. So tell those who don't know what this story is about, Kelly, and when you're going to have more of a mass market edition available for people to buy.
Sure. Yeah. It's small town horror. It is about a small town minister who is losing his faith and his wife is turning into a gigantic spider. And everybody is going to lose at the end of this story. And the mass market edition I've got right here.
Nice.
This art was not by Wade Chitwood. This was by a gal. I can't pronounce her name quite honestly. On DeviantArt sold me this, and this comes out June 25th.
Print,
in
Kindle, both.
and yeah, Kindle and paperback.
Okay.
So I'm very excited. Reviews have been, embarrassingly nice, and I got a lovely blurb from Mr. Peter Rollick, and I can't thank everybody enough for jumping on board.
It is great, and it's not one of those things where the book version of Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 90% and the audience score is 40. You know, the audience loves it too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, honestly, it's probably one of the best things I've read in a while. And it really sucks you in and won't let you go. Kelly calls it, his wife is turning into a spider. That is the least of that. That's no giveaway. It just gets worse from there.
I gathered from the first cover that something like that might be happening. Plus,
Yeah,
I
well,
read an early edition of this, 4 years ago?
yeah, it started out as a screenplay, and I just decided that I was gonna see if I could write a novel.
Yeah. I mean, he asked me for my opinion and I just tore into
Tore it
that puppy.
apart.
Yeah.
Tore it apart.
Tore it apart. Yeah. So, hey, Peter,
What?
what's happening?
I don't know what's happening.
Little product placement there.
Oh,
If you don't have a Lovecraft Easing podcast mug, you can get one now. LovecraftEasingSwag.com. You can get t-shirts, you can get sweatshirts, you can get coffee mugs. I'm sure it's in the other room of his house, but Kelly could show you an entire closet of Lovecraft Easing podcast swag that he has
Absolutely.
that he bought with his own money. But yeah, and keep an eye on that because I'm going to be adding more and more to that store. Just another way to kind of keep Lovecraft Easing going.
I
But
need
no,
like a Yeti cup.
what's that?
I need a Yeti cup.
No, you need this.
Well, yeah, except that doesn't go well on the boat.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah, it breaks.
You can get it. You can get a Lovecraft Easing podcast mug
Yeah.
or cup.
Okay.
I have to tell you, Pete, the possibilities are endless.
They are.
That's right.
They absolutely are. I want cutlery. I want like Lovecraft Easing bowls with your face staring up. I want to eat my chili.
Nobody
and
wants
see
that.
your face.
Just make sure you pour the milk in first with your cereal.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No.
I want to shut your whore mouth t-shirt. I think I did it. I think my
Only-
design was top notch for that.
Only John Langan is allowed to say that.
That's
I
why.
might have to make
Well, Bridget and I talked about this, but Bridget, what we should do is say, John Langan says, "Shut your whore mouth, Pete Rollick."
Well,
it's an amazing statement.
Classy,
I'm sure there's
classy
3 or
dude.
4 ex-wives that want to say that too. So
That should be a
Ouch.
blurb on your next book.
John Langan
Shut
says,
your
"Shut your whore mouth."
Shut your whore mouth and take my money. What a great story. Just
No, I was
contradicting.
actually going for Office Space when I did this. Hey, Peter, what's happening? I need you to
yeah.
work this Saturday.
No, nobody. I've been working all weekend except for like taking 2 hours off to go see this film.
The 20 best Lovecraftian horror books.
Oh my God! I knew you were going to do this to me.
Did you? You must be
Hey, this guy-
psychic.
No, I just know that you're abusive, like one of my ex-wives.
Well, that's a little bit triggering. Jeez. Wow.
I noticed you didn't say that's a little bit untrue. You just said it's a little
No,
bit.
I just said it's triggering. Revival by Stephen King. I can't argue with that one. Boy. The Croning by, I don't know who this guy is, but I've read the book and it's good. Very,
Yep.
very good.
Love that book.
Yeah, me too. House on the Borderland.
I
That's a
think this
great
is
book.
a cheat because this is published before Lovecraft.
Well, they do say that.
Yep.
Okay, it's a cheat. John dies at the end.
One
Fun.
of my favorites.
Yep.
There you go.
Pretty good movie too.
Yeah. I've not even heard of this one. The Drifting Classroom by Kazuo Umeda.
This
I've
is the
read-
3rd time I've encountered this one,
Uh-huh.
and I still haven't read it.
It's a
Kelly, I've
manga.
read this.
It's a
It's a
Graphic
manga.
novel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's cosmic horror. I'm not sure that it fits into Lovecraftian stuff, but it is definitely cosmic horror.
Well, you know me, I care more about the cosmic horror.
Yeah.
The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper.
This is
Not
one I
familiar
hadn't
with this
heard
one.
of.
Sorry?
This is one I haven't heard of, but what did Kelly say?
I said I haven't heard of this either.
All right.
I think I've heard of it, but I haven't read it yet. Haley Piper has been making waves in the horror scene, bringing a blend of LGBT plus romances, cosmic horror on the most massive scale possible, and the deconstruction of what we know as Lovecraftian along with it. So,
Yep.
Dead Sea by Tim Curran.
Yeah, I like this book. I like
That's a-
Tim. This is a
That's a
good book.
great cover.
Yeah.
It is. No, it doesn't. Never mind. Now, The Fisherman by John Langan.
This
I
is simply
I
a
blurbed
masterpiece.
this book.
Yeah,
It's a great book.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
John's
good.
watching and he's gonna record that part. They said it. Great book. He's gonna rewatch it.
I'm already
So
on record.
I really like Move Underground, except it's
Mhm.
by Nick Mamatas, not Monatas. But whatever. Yeah,
Oh, I thought you meant you liked Move Underground despite the fact that it's by Nick
No,
Montas. You lost me for a second there. Okay.
no,
So you did like this book.
I did like this book. It also comes, there's a selection of poetry that he wrote as a side piece to it. That is very hard to find. I think it's called Cthulhu Haiku or something like that.
Well, if you want Cthulhu haiku, our friend Matt Carpenter does that.
Yes.
All right. Hammers on Bone by Cassandra Caw.
Cassandra's a
She's-
great author, and
Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed this book.
Yeah, she's a genius. This is great. I love her stuff. The Great White Space. Pete, I know you have something to say about this.
I like this book.
Yeah.
This is an old school Lovecraftian novel from I think the 60s or 70s. I like it. I know Matt Carpenter does not like it. But
He's
I
not
think
here.
it's something good. Yeah, he's not here, and so screw him.
Is this the one? It's been a long time. Is this the one where? Never mind. Were you going to say something, Rick?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
You didn't like it either? Okay. Moving on. Ancient Images by Ramsey Campbell.
I love Ramsey, but I have not read this one.
It's
my
surprising
favorite.
to me that this is the book that of Ramsey's that they picked.
Yeah.
But it's a good book. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a great book, but
I don't know. I don't know why they picked that one.
now this one's a recent one. We had Matthew Lyons on the show when this came out. The Night Will Find Us.
Yeah.
Has anyone else read this?
I have not.
No, but I like the setting.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
You have? What'd you think?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting. It's another one of these out in the wilderness books.
Right. A summer camping trip
Mhm.
in the New Jersey Pine Barrens goes horribly wrong as the teens involved are picked off one by one, victims of each other and the surrounding forest. Ramina by Junji Ito.
I
Yeah, I
read a
like
lot
that
of
one.
his stuff.
I like
but have
Junji
not-
Ito just to begin with.
Yeah.
What did you say, Kelly?
I said that I've read a lot of Junji Ito, but I have not read this one.
Okay. That Which Should Not Be by Brett J. Talley. That's an old
That's
pick.
good.
He's not been on the scene for a while, but yeah, it's a good book. I
What?
This
will
is
skip
shit.
past this one.
Look at this kid.
Yeah, no,
Not a
that's
great
good
cover
book
though.
overall.
This is such a great cover. Reanimatrix by Pete Rollett.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't like the cover?
I like the cover. I do.
You don't like the author? What is it?
Well, I hear he's kind of a dick.
Oh,
No,
for
he's
sure.
okay. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
So yeah, pick up Reanimatrix by Pete Rollett. He could only love a dead woman
He
in a
could.
world of reanimators. All right. Ring Shout by P. Dealey Clark. I've never even heard of this writer or this book.
It's fantastic.
Is it?
Is
Okay.
it?
It's
All right.
so good in its short form. It's just a novella.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fight
the KKK are basically monsters, and they have to fight them. It kind of, in my mind, I kind of categorize it with Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
very similar, but this is more cosmic.
So it looks like
Cool.
based on the synopsis, the KKK, they're basically a cosmic horror cult in this. The Cipher by Kathy Koja. Now this is an amazing book. I mean,
I'm still traumatized by the cipher.
yeah,
And it's been out like 20 years, right?
it's a 90s
Maybe.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, so 30 years.
Is this
And-
cosmic horror? I mean, everyone should read this book. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing. It's amazing.
I think cosmic horror is one interpretation of it.
Okay. One Last
I read that.
Gasp.
That was pretty good.
Did you?
It's long though. It's like 500 plus pages.
Okay. One Last Gasp by Andrew C. Piazza. Battle of Black Tom by Victor, of course.
That's a brilliant book.
It is. And there we have it.
That's-
Yeah. Want to add anything to that? I suppose we could add a lot to that. So, oh, a couple other things before we get
Last
out
I
of
hear,
here.
there's a podcast for that.
For what?
Adding more to that.
That's the name of the podcast?
No.
Oh, it's this podcast. I get it.
Yes.
Yes, we can add more to that. Definitely. And we will. Mama Dirt, a novel by Michael Shea.
An unpublished novel by Michael.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exciting, huh?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to do the share screen again because here it is.
And this is the second unpublished novel by Michael Shea that we've had.
Yeah. So this is really great news. Introduced by Linda Shea. We'll have to have Linda back on the show again.
Yeah.
It's not a short novel either, right? I mean, I want to say it's like 300 plus pages. Or am I wrong?
I gotta say I don't remember. Michigan Basement, Thomas Ligotti, LP. You know, I've read a lot of Ligotti over the years, but I can't remember Michigan Basement.
I think it's new, right?
It must be. But look, this synopsis is just so enticing to me. As a child, Jeffrey could see not watchers or night watchers moving in the corners of his bedroom, and his mother did not deny their existence. While he manages to suppress his fear of the dark and what lurks there, enough of it lingered to direct him toward the study of anthropology under the sinister Dr. Ricaldi, who assures him that reality is an illusion. Oh, okay, Dr. Ricaldi, if you say so. It must be. Jeffrey and his partner, Jean, both struggling young academics, are drawn by Ricaldi's oblique invitation to the sort of town all readers of Ligotti will recognize at once. Skinner is a crummy, run-down little place in the middle of nowhere, a place that seems barely real and that hides a terrible secret, the Night Watchers. It's not New Jersey, for whoever was going to say that. So,
Oh, art by Dave Felton. Look at that.
yes, art by Dave Felton. Anyway, it's gonna be an LP, or it is an LP. This is a pre-order. You can pre-order it now. I'll try to remember to include the link. And they're gonna send me an art on Monday, so I'll let you know. I'll let you know if this guy Legati has chops. Okay. I'll get
Yeah.
back to you on that. So, all right, that's all I got.
Wait,
Yeah.
I have a question for Pete.
Yeah.
Kristin's novel is about skunk apes.
Okay. In Florida?
Have you
Oh,
ever
right.
encountered any?
He missed the best part.
Have I encountered any? Personally, no. However,
Not that he's allowed to talk about.
so here's the funny thing. Long before I started working in South Florida, I went to school at Florida Tech in Central Florida, in Melbourne, Florida, on the coast. And as a joke, I clipped out an article from the National Enquirer about a guy who claimed to have shot a skunk ape in Big Cypress, tied it to the roof of his car, and then when it woke up, destroyed the car.
Sounds legit.
Okay. And with this, they included a artist sketch of the skunk ape, and I swear it's a deep one. So I just clipped it out and put it in my memory box, which has been long since. I think I might still have it somewhere. I had to dig it up.
Well, if
But
you've
then
I would
what's
love
that?
to I would love to see this artist's rendering to see how I did with the skunk apes in my book.
Yeah, when she was talking about her Florida experiences and writings, I was like, Pete should really be here for this.
And since graduating university, God, 30 years ago, I have explored most of South Florida, including Lake Okeechobee, the Kissimmee River, the Everglades. One of my nicknames is Everglades Pete.
Have you been to Doomakey?
That's not a real place.
It's not? Damn it.
The 10,000 Islands, Florida Bay. I'm now working with Big Cypress National Preserve, which is, if you ever get a chance to fly over Big Cypress National Preserve, it looks like an alien planet.
Oh, wow.
Just incredible. I see if I can dig up some photos and post them. And I have spent the night, both planned and unplanned, in various places. And as much as I would like to say that I've encountered some weird shit, I haven't encountered weird shit. Mostly because, I know what goes bump in the night,
Missing 411 skunk ape.
Yes.
A few years ago, this is one of my favorite stories. A few years ago, we had a rainfall collector and weather station that was constantly being damaged. So we put a camera out, a motion sensing camera, and that the night we put it out, it caught one picture of a black bear about 100 yards away. And it takes 1 second for the camera to cycle to the next frame. And by that time, the camera was pointing up into the air. So this bear crossed 100 yards in 1 second, destroyed everything, and left like all of our equipment laying on the ground, pointing up in the air.
100 yards. They should draft that guy. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
They legitimately do like 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was just amazing to watch, to understand how fast that thing could move.
That is pretty cool. Now, next year, Kristin Dearborn and Pete Rollick will be consulting on this is a new announcement. Nobody knows about this yet. On a
Meth
movie
Bear?
called Cocaine Skunk Ape.
Yes. There's
So,
for sure a market for that.
mhm.
So I watched Cocaine Bear this week
Again?
for the first time.
Oh,
I had not watched it before. There is nothing in that movie that prevents it from being part of the Pitch Perfect universe that Elizabeth Banks has created. If you don't know, she directed and produced that film, Cocaine Bear and Pitch Perfect. It's also set in Georgia, just like most of the other Pitch Perfect films.
Georgia.
And Cocaine Bear has spawned a lot of sequels or imitators.
Cocaine Sharknado.
Cocaine Sharknado. I think the best one I've heard, I think we came up with it here, was Meth Amphibian.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, we
That
Meth
did.
Amphibian.
That was your baby.
Trademark that.
Yeah. I think Meth Amphibian is a giant alligator turtle that just,
I would watch that.
I would pay to watch that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right.
So wait, Chris, are you still in Florida now, or?
No, I live in Vermont, which is like the opposite of Florida.
I
But every
want
time I go to Florida, I get inspired and have to write these Florida books.
so this whole house swapping thing.
Mhm.
We should think about this.
But is that like wife swap? Wife swap? What is it?
No. Where like she can come live in my house for a week, and I could go live up there in Vermont for a week.
Yeah,
Oh,
scenic South Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is that a shithole?
No, it's just the developed part of Vermont.
Oh, okay.
she'd love it because she'd find out how easy
Write something.
you have it,
Yeah.
Pete. I mean, Mandy taking care of you and all that, you know?
Oh, no. The whole family would flips.
Oh.
Mandy doesn't stay. Well, maybe. I don't know. Have you seen The Holiday with, no?
No, I don't think so.
No,
Never mind.
that's a negative.
All right. It's a good romance. You should watch it with your wife.
Well,
That's Mike, not Kristen.
I'm
not
going to watch it with my
judgment.
wife, not someone
Yeah.
else's wife.
Right. But no, Florida
That's
is
offensive,
interesting.
sir.
I have had scares, but nothing supernatural or paranormal. So, and I haven't done much with them yet, because I'm still
Well,
employed, and writing about them like would put me in a spotlight with my boss.
Mm.
So
appreciate all of you being here. Thanks for being here, Kristen.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thanks.
and Kristen, thank you for Whispers. I love that book. That was the first one I read by you,
Yes.
and it is part of the permanent collection.
Yay.
Yeah, I love that little book. It's very, to me, it's one of the better, more subtle MyGo novels. And, I think you did a really good job with that.
She did.
It's hard to do a subtle MyGo.
Yeah.
Well,
They're not a subtle monster.
No, they're not.
yeah, so thanks everyone for being here. Thanks to everyone who listens and who watches. If you want to help, and I do need the help, write a review at Apple, and that helps a lot. Comment on the YouTube videos, which if you listen to the podcast on any of the podcast apps, just the audio version, I always link to the YouTube video, so you can go there and comment if you want. And a review on Apple helps a lot. Just released the Weird Library episode 2, which is a new project that I'm doing, and Bridget Brenmark does the music and the art. I'm the host, kind of an intro, outro, E.G. Marshall thing. And the latest story is by Laird
Mobility.
Barron. Yeah, called Mobility. And it's read by Anthony Pierce. He does a great job.
Mm.
So, and we should have another one up within the next 10 days. Now that I've sort of got the template down for doing this. And you can, I'll have links to that in the show notes too. I have for the last couple of episodes. And we just posted, speaking of Laird, we just posted a couple of days ago on Patreon. Laird and a lot of us panelists talked about Night Country with spoilers, and had a great conversation about that. So if you want to see what we think and the rest of us think, it's only $5 a month. And then just yesterday, Jeff Thomas has a new book out called Gods of a Nameless Country. This is the real deal. You really should read this. And his Nameless Country, the idea of it, the setting is just a really cool idea. And this is the latest, Gods of a Nameless Country. It just came out, I think, a couple of days ago. So I was waiting for that to post. A Patreon podcast. Jeff and Mark Rainey and I had a conversation with Jeff a few weeks ago about it. So it's now on the Patreon. So check that out. So there's a lot of benefits to being a Patreon, and I hope you'll consider it. So good to see you, Kelly.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Good to see you guys. Kristin, thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody next week.